there, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is out of my league. Have you ever had this thought where you look at somebody and you're like, oh my goodness, that person is out of my league? Usually that thought is based in their form, their style, their looks, their outer raiment offering. And, because it's I find that usually that decision is being made based on what you're receiving visually. I think for some of us, we can over time observe a person and we may feel their character is out of our league. So I'm speaking from my experience, and I never look at someone's character and think they're out of my league. Not because, please get on my high horse with me, not because of that, but I have spent not just this, but I believe many lifetimes working on the content of my character. It's why I and my best friend often teach the concept of form versus content. How much time and attention do you spend on the content of your character, and how much time and attention do you spend on your form? It's part of why in this life I don't spend a lot of time putting makeup on and, dealing with this outer offering, because I'm very mired in considering the content I'm placing in this outer offering. There's definitely a person when I moved to this fabulous city of Albuquerque that I dearly love, that the moment I laid eyes on this person, I was like, well, that person's definitely out of my league, because it's one of the most attractive people I've ever laid eyes. I was like, and definitely the most stylish human I've ever seen. And I was like, wow, goodness gracious. When they were doling out things in heaven, they just gave you the cornucopia, didn't they? Because over time I learned that this two-legged is humble, is generous, is super kind and personable, and how much more attractive a person is when their content is as lovely as their form. But, it wasn't this person's content that made me feel like they were out of my league. It was their form. And I was with this amazing group of women for my friend Kristen's birthday this past year. And each one, I was really paying attention, because I always believe each appointment I have with any two-legged is an appointment with divinity. And let's see what the offering and teaching is from divinity through this particular matrix of being, from this particular content that divinity would flush up in front of me to witness. And I was telling them, because this person I learned was involved in a relationship, but I was just talking to them about my breakup, talking to them about being single, talking to them about my interest, and this person is somebody that really interests me. I'm curious about them, and I don't even know if they're still involved, but still, I would hold the thought, they're definitely out of my league. It doesn't matter. So I was telling him about this. I was like, this one person really interests me, and I don't think they're available. If they became available, though, they're definitely out of my league. It wouldn't matter. But I am very curious about them and interested in them. And as I was mentioning before, this is a part of autism or neurodivergence. I mean, it's different. The dials are set differently for each neurodivergent human. But for me, my special interests are, metaphysics, magic, mysticism, mystical teachings from every faith tradition, death, sexuality, psychology, la 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 la. And sometimes when you have this component of special interest, a human can become your special interest. And so attraction can feel really intense, and you can feel overly interested in a person. Like, I am so curious about everything you think and everything you're into. And that aspect of me over time, I've learned to counter, because most people don't want to be gawked at and stared at. I certainly don't like it usually. And so I counter it by never looking at a person that I'm deeply attracted to, which is awkward. I'm just being weird. It's not helpful. As I've been stewing on, why does Heather think that people are out of her league, or why do we do this as humans? Looking to my own matrix, my first kiss was pressured. I had a huge crush on a guy named Byron, and my friend LaToya, we were all hanging out under a bush. We hung out every day, and we would play in nature, and so we were hiding under this little open gathering in this bush, and she's like, kiss him, you like him, blah. And I did kiss him, but I wasn't ready to kiss him. I had just decided I like him, and I was a very young girl, and I didn't even know what that meant. I had never kissed anyone before. And so that immediately kind of caused me to lose my attraction, because it's not attractive to me to be peer pressured into something I don't even understand what I'm doing. And as I've spoken before, my first sexual experience was rape. And so, unfortunately, the person that raped me is somebody that I told my best friend at the time I found attractive. And then later that day, he attempted to have sex with me, and she came in the room and said, "Don't listen to her, just F her." And then I was assaulted, because even though I found him attractive, I had never had sex and didn't want it. You know what I mean? So a lot of my experiences are, when I have attraction, my experiences taught me it's not safe. Whatever you're attracted to is dangerous, because it's aggressive. Like, the interaction is aggressive, and it's going to give you what you don't want. There's a component I've been thinking about this week too, where my aunt is an amazing doll maker. She lived with my grandmother, and they both collected dolls, and they had a multi-million-dollar collection easily of mint condition dolls. And when I was a kid and I was staying with my grandmother, my sister and I and my brother and I was surrounded by dolls. I mean, just wall-to-wall dolls, all in mint condition. And it was like, don't touch the dolls, help me cook and clean, and then we can have a fudgesicle, or you can play with this doll I got at the dollar store or whatever. But don't ever touch these, because these are mint condition, which as an adult I now understand. But my therapist was once telling me how crazy that is for a child, to place a child in a room filled with dolls and constantly be placed in this consciousness of, don't touch this, it's not for you, it's far too precious. And how that has given me some consciousness of something that I'm very, very attracted to, or that I find really interesting, or that I want to know more about, is either dangerous or it's far too precious for me to engage with. It's definitely out of my league. It's not something to have and to hold. It's not something that I'm allowed to touch. And so I'm curious, have you ever had this thought? Have you ever thought like a person is out of your league? I've thought about this in relationship to me. I never consider myself out of anyone's league. I've dated all different types of humans, male, female, all different types of body shapes, different cultures. I've had a lot of different experiences here at our school. And many of the people I've dated are not people that I would personally be like, I'm really attracted to that person. I want to date them. It's just been a matter of somebody expressing interest in me and me being an overly open person usually. But I found a lot of two-leggeds. I think this has been, from what I've received from the Akashic Records, true in previous lives as well. I sometimes kind of have concern over coming into union, because Heather follows a lot of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual disciplines. I don't allow sugar in my home. I don't allow it in my home because it's a depressant and immunosuppressant. It causes an inflammatory response in the body. And so I will have fresh cut up watermelon, cantaloupe, bananas, grapes. I have a lot of fruit that has fructose sugar in it. But the body processes it differently. Sugar that does all those things I just said, I have to effort to go have it. And so I follow all these different disciplines to keep myself where I want to be physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And often when I date, I find that those things get lowered. I lower my frequency or my development. And so sometimes I fear partnership, because I found too, I've definitely had opportunity to date extremely attractive people that I would assume were out of my league. But I found their content is absolute trash. I mean, you're real pretty on the outside, but the inside is really ugly and disconnected from the truth of the light of love that is underneath all this trash you're throwing inside your inner temple. And it's exhausting. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't give you love if you don't give yourself love first. You have to know what it means to receive it. And so I'm curious if you have ever had this concept of somebody being out of your league, or if you think of yourself as out of most people's leagues, which is a little bit of hubris, I would think. But there is a way in which as talking to some friends about this at a recent friend's birthday party, this amazing medicine gathering, these girls were like, he's not out of your league. I was telling them of my interest, and they were like, this guy's not out of your league. What are you talking about? And I realized I've never questioned myself on that. I'm just like, no, I'm accurate. He's out of my league. But I'm curious if you've ever questioned these thoughts that we can hold about the self of like, I'm not enough. I don't make the cut. I'm not that layer of stylish. I'm not that layer of attractive. They're far beyond what I'll be able to offer, you know. I'm never going to get there in this life. I'm never going to be that attractive. And how silly that is. Like, how silly that is. I've been flirting with the idea of having my wishes fulfilled. You know, I'm on Facebook dating. I'm pursuing dating people, and I'm getting to know. I'm currently talking to somebody that's really interesting, has been sending me fun playlists, and we're just getting to know each other. And I don't know if there's potential there or not. You just see over time. I find it funny because it's like I feel often as I date, it's like I can see all these things that's like, this is difficult for me. I don't want to mutate into your diet and eat that. I don't want to mutate into your layer of drinking and drink as much as you do, or I don't want to, but I have a tendency to do that. I have a tendency to mutate to match my partner because I like harmony. And I think often many of us can do that. We can be over compromising in partnership and give away too much of ourselves, too much of our own development, lower our own frequency just to have the opportunity for the harmony of union, you know? And I'm at a place where I'm not really willing to do that anymore. I'm not interested in sacrificing my own development physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in order to have a hand to hold or someone to say sweet dreams to when I fall asleep, you know? The trade isn't worth it. It's not worth it. I'm just curious, like, how much am I or are you, how much are we limiting ourselves from living a life truly worth living, you know? Is there a certain lifestyle that's out of your league, a certain level of prosperity, a certain quality of love and relationship, a certain level of freedom that is out of your league because you've got to work hard and you got bills to pay, you know? And so I've been really questioning, and that was a part of this questioning that started for me, is having these beautiful women be like, one of the girls was like, nobody's out of my league. People are lucky to be with me. I love when people speak in this way, this like really bombastic way, because I do not think in that way at all. And I love counter to the way that I think, because it's nice to be humble, but sometimes we play too small, you know? And so I appreciate that thought of like, people are lucky to be with me. I have a lot to offer. And I've been given a lot of opportunity in the recent years of dating to recognize I do have a lot to offer. And it's okay for me to recognize that someone else's offering isn't actually meeting my needs, my desires, my aims, where I want to go. It's not right or wrong. No one's good or bad. This is not evolving me in the way I'd like to evolve. First of all, if there's anyone that you feel is out of your league, are you willing to take a risk to see if maybe an opportunity is being missed? I'm not. I'm never going to tell this person I'm attracted to them. I'm just going to keep never looking at them so that I don't gawk at them. You're welcome, life. You can work that out if it's a possibility for me. I'm not going to go there because I've taken too many risks and with many different individuals in the past 5 years, and I've faced so much rejection, and I'm really seeking that which is seeking me. And so there is a component of me just allowing entities that truly come towards me to be the opportunities that I pursue in my garden of life. However, I'm wondering, like, am I missing opportunity by not letting this person that deeply interests me know that, like, hey, if you are now single or become single, I'm deeply interested. I would like to walk under the moonlight with you and maybe hold hands. Okay? You know? Am I missing opportunity of living the life of freedom that I want to live because I think I have to work so hard to pay these bills? Am I missing an opportunity of living as not bound with money and objects as I want to be because I'm just unconsciously living the dream that's offered in the living tree? You know, am I creating the reality that I really want around consumerism, around my environment, around my home, around my partnership, around my money? Am I living the dream, a life worth living? Excellent question to consider. You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine, like and comment there. I love to hear your thoughts. And I offer lots of services at rarebirdmedicine.com. I'm Moon.